They laughed when she walked into the interview room. A black woman in combat boots standing before the most powerful crime lord in South Korea. One guard spat on the floor near her feet. Another whispered something about desperation reaching new depths. She heard every word. She understood every insult. She filed every face away for later. When the hiring manager demanded her credentials, she slid a single photograph across the table. It showed a compound reduced to rubble, flames still consuming the wreckage, bodies scattered like discarded dolls. "This was a fortified military black site in Somalia," she said, her voice flat and emotionless. 49 guards. I walked out, they didn't. My resume is written in the body count I left behind. My credentials are classified by governments that deny my existence. You don't hire me because you trust me. You hire me because I'm the last option before your funeral. 24 hours later, 55 professional killers would lie broken across the compound grounds. Mercenaries, assassins, special operatives, all sent to claim the largest bounty in Asian underworld history. By sunrise, every single one would be defeated by the woman they had mocked during her interview. If you believe extraordinary talent comes from unexpected places, hit subscribe right now on Afro-K Dark Diaries TV. Only people who judge books by their covers would scroll past this story. Kang Ji-woo had built his empire through blood and brilliance. From the slums of Incheon to the penthouses of Gangnam, his name inspired fear and respect in equal measure. The Shadow Phoenix Syndicate controlled everything, from shipping routes to nightclubs, construction companies to cryptocurrency exchanges. For 22 years, he had outmaneuvered rivals, bribed officials, and eliminated threats with surgical precision. But now, at 49, the hunter had become the hunted. It began with whispers, rival families meeting in secret, former allies suddenly unavailable for business. Then came the attacks. A car bomb that killed his driver but missed Ji-woo by seconds. A sniper's bullet that grazed his shoulder during a rare public appearance. Poison in his morning tea that sent 3 taste testers to early graves. Someone wanted Kang Ji-woo dead. Someone close, someone patient. And they weren't working alone. The final blow came when his head of security, a man who had protected Ji-woo for 19 years, was found hanging in his own home, staged as suicide. But the message carved into his chest read, "Blood Moon. You're last." Ji-woo knew the date, exactly 5 days away. 5 days to find a protector in a city where everyone seemed to be waiting for his downfall. 5 days before the most powerful criminal organizations in Asia would send their best to claim the $30 million bounty on his head. Desperation makes men do strange things. It made Kang Ji-woo, a man steeped in tradition and prejudice, consider the unthinkable. Aaliyah Cross wasn't looking for work that day. She was looking for peace, something that had eluded her since her dishonorable discharge 3 years ago. Seoul was supposed to be anonymous, a place to disappear while the nightmares of what she had done, what she had been forced to do for her country, slowly faded. They never did. Instead, she took jobs that required her skills without asking questions about her past. Nightclub bouncer, private security for foreign businessmen, underground fight clubs, when money ran low. She kept to herself, spoke little, and tried to forget the woman she had been. The weapon they had made her. When the robbery erupted at the convenience store, Aaliyah was just buying cigarettes and instant ramen. 4 men, armed and desperate, threatening the elderly shop owner and a young woman cowering behind the counter. They didn't see Aaliyah as a threat, just another customer to control. Their mistake, 22 seconds. That's all it took. No weapons, no words, just the precise, economical violence that had been burned into her muscle memory through years of black ops training. The first attacker's wrist snapped when he pointed his gun at the cashier. The second lost consciousness from a strike to the carotid artery that was too fast for security cameras to capture clearly. The third tried to run, but found himself face down on the linoleum, arm hyperextended behind him, Aaliyah's knee pressed between his shoulder blades. The fourth managed to fire once before joining his colleagues in unconsciousness. What Aaliyah didn't know was that across the street, in a black Mercedes with tinted windows, sat Ji-woo's last remaining trusted advisor, watching everything. "We found someone," he told Ji-woo over a secure line. Someone impossible. Kang Ji-woo's compound resembled a fortress more than a home. 15-foot walls topped with motion sensors, armed guards patrolling manicured gardens, bulletproof glass in every window. The architecture, minimalist concrete and steel, projected power and inaccessibility. Like its owner, the building rejected intimacy and embraced isolation. When Aaliyah arrived for the interview wearing combat boots, black jeans, and a leather jacket that concealed the scars on her arms, the guards smirked. One muttered something in Korean about Ji-woo's desperation reaching new lows. Another laughed and suggested more offensive possibilities for why she was really there. Aaliyah understood every word. She filed their faces away in her memory. Later, when her position was secure, they would learn the cost of underestimation. The interview wasn't really an interview. It was Kang Ji-woo, surrounded by 4 remaining bodyguards, studying her like a specimen under glass. His questions were blunt, insulting. "You're American, why are you in Korea? You're a woman, how can you protect me from professional killers? You're black, won't you stand out too much in Seoul?" Aaliyah's answers were equally blunt. "I'm here because American intelligence agencies are still looking for me in the Middle East. Korea is the last place they'd expect a ghost to hide. Gender is irrelevant when you're unconscious from a crushed windpipe. Ask the last 14 men who underestimated me. Standing out is an advantage. Your enemies will watch me while they should be watching the knife at their throat." Ji-woo's final question revealed his desperation. "Why should I trust you with my life?" Aaliyah's eyes, hollow from years of carrying unbearable weight, met his. "You shouldn't. Trust is what got you here. Trusting the wrong people. Believing loyalty could be bought. I'm not offering trust. I'm offering survival. The only question is whether you want to live badly enough to accept help from someone your pride says you should reject." Kang Ji-woo hired her on the spot, not because he believed in her, but because he had run out of alternatives. 5 days before the deadline. 5 days to prepare for an onslaught. What he couldn't possibly understand was that for Aaliyah Cross, 5 days was far more than she needed. The Shadow Phoenix Syndicate's reaction to Aaliyah was immediate and hostile. Ji-woo's cousin and second-in-command, Lee Sang-min, openly challenged the decision during the first strategy meeting. "You've lost your mind, cousin," Sang-min's voice dripped with disdain. "Bringing in an outsider, an American, a woman, how do we know she's not working for our enemies?" Ji-woo's response was ice cold. "Because our enemies wouldn't send someone so obvious. They'd send someone like you, Sang-min, someone I'm supposed to trust." The implications silenced the room. Ji-woo suspected everyone now, even family, especially family. Aaliyah stood silently against the wall, observing everything. The power dynamics, the shifting alliances, the poorly concealed resentments. Within an hour, she had identified at least 3 potential traitors among Ji-woo's inner circle. But she said nothing. Information was leverage, and she needed every advantage. After the meeting, Ji-woo's sister, Kang Hae-jin, cornered Aaliyah in the hallway. Unlike the others, her hostility wasn't veiled behind false politeness. "My brother is desperate, not stupid," she hissed in perfect English. "One mistake, one sign you're not what you claim, and I'll kill you myself." Aaliyah simply nodded. "Smart. You should be protecting him with that loyalty." "I am." "No, you're threatening his new bodyguard instead of watching for real threats. Amateur move." Hae-jin's face flushed with anger, her hand moving to the knife hidden at her waist. Aaliyah didn't flinch, didn't blink, just stared with the empty patience of someone who had faced worse threats before breakfast most days of her military career. Hae-jin backed down first. Had to. There was something in Aaliyah's eyes that promised violence on a level the younger woman had never encountered. "Just remember," Hae-jin muttered as she walked away, "family protects family. You're just an employee." Aaliyah allowed herself a small, bitter smile. Family betrays family too. History is full of examples. For the first 48 hours, Aaliyah didn't sleep. She memorized every entrance, exit, blind spot, and vulnerability in the compound. She studied the staff rotations, noted which guards were diligent and which were complacent. She inspected Ji-woo's food before each meal, tested his drinks, swept his rooms for surveillance devices every 6 hours. Kang Ji-woo watched her work with growing unease. She was methodical, emotionless, exhaustive in her preparation, like a machine programmed for a single purpose. "You need to rest," he told her at the end of the second day. "Sleep is a luxury for people with futures," she replied, continuing to check the pressure plates she had installed beneath the floorboards. What does that mean? Aaliyah paused, looking up at him with eyes that had seen too much. It means I sleep when the job is done, not before. And what happens after the job? Her laugh was hollow, empty of humor. There is no after. There's just the next job, the next fight, the next day of trying to outrun what I've done. It was the most personal thing she had said since arriving. Ji-woo didn't press further. He recognized trauma when he saw it, had caused enough of it himself. On the third day, Aaliyah Cross showed exactly why Kang Ji-woo had been right to hire her. The attack came during a meeting with the heads of Ji-woo's legitimate businesses. 3 of Ji-woo's own security personnel, supposedly loyal for years, suddenly drew weapons. Their target wasn't just Ji-woo, but everyone in the room. A complete decapitation of the Shadow Phoenix leadership. Aaliyah moved before the first gun cleared its holster. A crystal paperweight from the desk embedded itself in the first attacker's wrist. Her body followed, a blur of controlled violence. One traitor went down with a crushed larynx, another with dislocated shoulders. The third managed to fire a single shot that grazed Ji-woo's executive assistant before Aaliyah slammed his head into the marble conference table with enough force to crack both. 9 seconds. 3 attackers neutralized. 0 fatalities. Ji-woo's legitimate business partners sat frozen, drinks halfway to lips, eyes wide with shock. They had just witnessed something most people only saw in action movies. The reality was both more mundane and more terrifying. No dramatic flips or impossible moves. Just the brutal efficiency of someone trained to end threats with minimal motion and maximum damage. Meeting adjourned, Ji-woo said calmly, straightening his tie as Aaliyah zip-tied the unconscious would-be assassins. We'll reschedule for next quarter. After the executives fled, Ji-woo turned to Aaliyah. You could have killed them. Death is final, she replied, checking for hidden weapons on the incapacitated men. Information is valuable, they'll tell us who sent them. And if they don't talk? Aaliyah's expression darkened. Everyone talks eventually. I was trained to make sure of it. For the first time since hiring her, Ji-woo felt a chill that had nothing to do with the attempt on his life. Whatever demons drove Aaliyah Cross, they were older and darker than his own. That night, Ji-woo gathered his remaining inner circle, now reduced to his sister, his cousin, and 3 lieutenants who hadn't yet tried to kill him. The mood was somber. The betrayal had come from within, from men who had protected Ji-woo for years. No one leaves the compound until the blood moon, Ji-woo declared. No communications with the outside. No exceptions. Sang-min slammed his fist on the table. This is madness. We're trapping ourselves. Better trapped with known enemies than opening doors for unknown ones, Aaliyah said from her position by the door. Ji-woo nodded. Miss Cross will implement complete lockdown protocols. Anyone attempting to breach security will be considered hostile. And if there are more traitors among us? Hae-jin asked, eyeing the faces around the table. Ji-woo's smile was cold. Then we'll find out very quickly who deserves to be part of Shadow Phoenix's future. If you think loyalty is earned through actions, not words, comment respect below. Only fake friends would disagree with that truth. The interrogation of the captured traitors revealed what Aaliyah had already suspected. The attack on the Blood Moon would be coordinated across multiple rival organizations. The Red Dragon Syndicate from Japan, the Golden Triangle Cartel from Thailand. Even the Russian Bratva had sent specialists, all united by a single purpose, eliminating Kang Ji-woo and dividing his territory. More disturbing was the confirmation of Ji-woo's fears. Someone close to him, someone in his inner circle, had orchestrated everything. The traitors knew the name but refused to reveal it, even under extreme duress. They're more afraid of that person than they are of us, Aaliyah observed, washing blood from her hands after the 4th hour of questioning. That tells us something. Ji-woo leaned against the wall outside the makeshift interrogation room, face ashen. What does it tell us? That whoever betrayed you commands fear beyond what you can inflict. That means power, resources, and influence that rivals or exceeds your own. Family, Ji-woo whispered. Aaliyah nodded once. Most likely. During a routine sweep, Aaliyah found a hidden room behind a false wall in the east wing. Inside was a sophisticated surveillance hub, multiple monitors showing every corner of the compound, recordings going back months. detailed profiles on every member of Ji-woo's inner circle, psychological assessments, pressure points, bribery records, blackmail material. The equipment was military-grade, satellite routing that bounced signals across continents. "This isn't criminal intelligence," Aaliyah said. "This is government-level surveillance. CIA, MSS, or Korean NIS." Ji-woo went pale. "My own country's intelligence agency? Someone with government connections has been watching you for months. Planning this, they've turned someone close to you, someone who believes betraying you is patriotic duty." That night, over rice, wine, and silence, Ji-woo told Aaliyah about his rise to power, about growing up poor in Incheon, about watching his father beaten to death by loan sharks, about building his empire piece by bloody piece until the name Kang meant something in a world that had tried to erase him. "I never trusted anyone except family," he confessed, the alcohol loosening his tongue, "and now I can't even trust them." "Family is just biology," Aaliyah replied, still sober, still vigilant. "Loyalty is choice." "Is that what you learned in the military?" Aaliyah's eyes hardened. "I learned that loyalty to institutions is a fairy tale they tell you to make the nightmares easier to bear." "What nightmares?" Her smile was razor-thin. "The ones where you see the faces of everyone you've killed because someone with stars on their shoulder decided they needed to die." Ji-woo studied her. "How many faces?" Aaliyah looked away. "Too many faces, not enough stars to justify them." In that moment, Ji-woo understood something fundamental about the woman he had hired. She wasn't just skilled. She was broken in exactly the right places to make her the perfect protector. Her rage wasn't hot and impulsive like his own. It was cold, controlled, and constantly searching for a target worthy of its release. He had given her 50-plus assassins to focus that rage upon. He almost felt sorry for them. Almost. While doing night searches of the inner circle's quarters, Aaliyah discovered troubling evidence. Sang-min's rooms revealed extravagant lifestyle. Watches worth more than most people's houses. Receipts for gambling debts recently paid. Where had the money come from? His legitimate income didn't cover it. Hae-jin's hidden compartment contained burner phones, encrypted communications devices, a government-issue sidearm that shouldn't exist. Personal journals filled with philosophical debates about duty, justice, family obligation versus moral principle. A photograph hidden in a book showed Hae-jin in a graduation gown, arm in arm with a man wearing the insignia of Korean intelligence. Lieutenant Choi's room was almost entirely empty. No personal items, no photographs, no trace of personality. A ghost living among them. The kind of person who could hide anything. The next morning, Hae-jin cornered Aaliyah after noticing her door had been opened during the night. "You went through my things. I'm protecting your brother. That means understanding everyone around him. You found the photograph, and the burner phones, and the government weapon." Hae-jin's voice dropped to a whisper. "Be very careful, Miss Cross. Some doors once opened cannot be closed. Some truths once revealed destroy everything." "Truths don't destroy, lies do. I'm just figuring out which you've been telling." Hae-jin walked away, composure cracking for just a moment before reforming. Day 4 brought lockdown. No one entered or left the compound. All external communications severed. Food and supply deliveries stopped. Staff given the choice to stay and risk their lives or leave with severance and Ji-woo's blessing. 60% stayed, 40% left. Those who remained stood taller. Their loyalty now a choice rather than an obligation. Aaliyah transformed the compound into a tactical nightmare. Pressure plates beneath selected floorboards, trip wires connected to non-lethal deterrents, flashbangs, smoke grenades, electrical stun systems. Kill zones created areas that appeared vulnerable but were actually designed to funnel attackers into ambush points. When asked why she requisitioned no guns, she responded simply, "Guns make noise, noise draws attention. Attention gets people killed. I work better in silence." Instead, she gathered tactical knives, stun batons, zip ties, sedatives, communication jammers, night vision equipment. During the final strategy session, she outlined her approach with clinical detachment. "They'll come from multiple entry points. They've studied standard security protocols, so those are useless. We've created new vulnerabilities. Fake ones, areas that appear unguarded but are actually killing zones." Sang-min interrupted. "You keep saying incapacitate. These people are coming to murder us. Why aren't we killing them? Because dead bodies tell no stories. Captured assassins tell us everything. Who sent them? Who paid them? Who inside this compound helped them? 50 prisoners give us 50 chances to expose the full network. 50 corpses give us nothing but graves to dig. This is insane. You're going to get us all killed. Aaliyah locked eyes with him. If anyone dies tonight, it won't be because of my strategy. It will be because someone in this room wants them dead. The implications silence the room. If you believe the most dangerous person in a room is often the quietest one, the one everyone underestimates, double tap that like button right now on Afro-K Dark Diaries TV. Only fools ignore silent strength. Sunset brought final preparations. The inner circle gathered in Ji-woo's fortified office, reinforced walls, bulletproof glass, single entrance that Aaliyah had rigged with countermeasures. No one leaves this room, no matter what you hear. Gunshots, explosions, screaming, you stay here. Anyone who tries to leave will be considered hostile. She paused at the door. If I don't come back, use the tunnel beneath the bookcase. Code is 7-4-9. Don't fight, don't try to be heroes, just run. Before anyone could respond, she was gone. 10:17 p.m. brought first contact. Perimeter sensors triggered along the eastern wall. Night vision revealed 3 figures scaling the wall. Professional movements. Military precision. They didn't see the electrified wire mesh hidden in the ivy. 50,000 volts. Non-lethal. Completely incapacitating. Aaliyah emerged from shadows. Zip ties. Sedatives. Dragged them to a holding area. 3 down. 50 plus to go. 10:34 p.m. Northern Garden. 6-man team approaching through decorative paths. Pressure sensors tracked every step. Aaliyah intercepted at the stone bridge, a natural choke point. First 2 went down before they knew she was there. Precision strikes to nerve clusters. Instant unconsciousness. 3rd and 4th drew weapons. Aaliyah used the 3rd as a shield. 4th's bullet hit his colleague's vest. In the confusion, both joined the others on the ground. 5th and 6th split up. Mistake. Isolated, they were easier targets. 9 down. 10:52 p.m. Western Perimeter. Sniper team positioned on adjacent rooftops, covering fire for an 8-man entry team. Aaliyah had anticipated this. She flanked the sniper position. First sniper, sleeper hold. 15 seconds to unconsciousness. Second sniper turned just in time to see her, not in time to stop her. 11 down. Without cover fire, the entry team hesitated. Fatal mistake. Aaliyah moved through them like a shadow. Strike. Move. Strike, move. No wasted motion. No hesitation. Just the mechanical efficiency of a weapon doing what it was designed to do. 19 down. 11:23 p.m. brought the professionals. Second wave. Operators moving with synchronized precision. Hand signals, room-clearing techniques, military-grade coordination. These weren't criminals. These were trained soldiers. Aaliyah recognized the movement patterns immediately. Phantom protocols. American Black Ops, her former unit. Cold rage filled her veins. She pushed it down. Rage made people sloppy. 5-man team breached the north entrance. They cleared rooms by the book Aaliyah had helped write. She knew every technique, every counter, every weakness in their approach. She dismantled them methodically. First, nerve strike behind the ear, unconscious before he fell. Second, joint lock that hyperextended his elbow, followed by a chokehold. 3rd and 4th reacted faster, weapons up, firing, but she had already moved. She used the environment, tables as shields, chairs as weapons, shadows as cover. 24 down. 11:47 p.m. multiple entry points. Coordinated assault. 10 operators from the south, 8 from the east. Explosives blew through the main gate. This was the main force. The heavy hitters. Aaliyah's traps took out the first wave. Trip wires triggered flashbangs. Pressure plates activated electrical stun systems. 31 down, but they kept coming. Overwhelming numbers. Aaliyah engaged in the main hall. A brutal, beautiful display of controlled violence. She used their numbers against them. In tight quarters, they couldn't all engage at once. She flowed through them like water through rocks, always moving, never where they expected. 38 down. 12:15 a.m. brought the elite, the best of the best. 8 operators who had hung back, watching, learning from their colleagues' mistakes. Yakuza sword specialist from Japan, triad martial arts master from Hong Kong, Bratva enforcer built like a tank, Vietnamese assassin who moved like smoke, Thai killer known for poison and misdirection, 3 phantom operatives, the most dangerous. Aaliyah faced them in the central courtyard, moonlight casting silver shadows. The Yakuza attacked first, katana flashing. Aaliyah dodged, redirected, used his momentum to send him into a stone pillar. Disarmed him with a wrist lock that broke bone. 39 down. The triad master engaged. Fast hands, precision strikes. Aaliyah matched him blow for blow, then exceeded him. An elbow to the solar plexus. A knee to the thigh. A palm strike to the temple. 40 down. The Bratva enforcer charged. Size and strength. Aaliyah didn't fight power with power. She redirected, used leverage, brought him down with a hip throw that slammed him into concrete. 41 down. The Vietnamese assassin was almost invisible. Smoke bombs, misdirection, but Aaliyah's training was better. She sensed movement, trusted instinct. A perfectly timed counter caught him mid-strike. 42 down. The Thai killer tried poison darts. Aaliyah had already spotted the concealed weapon. She closed distance before he could reload. Neutralized him with a combination that ended at his carotid artery. 43 down, 3 phantom operatives remained. They circled her. They knew her training because they shared it. This was the real fight. They attacked in coordination, rehearsed patterns, team tactics. Aaliyah defended, countered, created openings. Operative 1, she broke his rhythm with an unexpected strike pattern, something she had developed after leaving the program. He went down with a fractured collarbone. 44 down. Operative 2 used her brief engagement with his partner to close distance. They grappled. She was smaller, but she was better. A reversal put him in a chokehold that stole consciousness. 45 down. Operative 3, the leader. Ghost Menace 1, he recognized her. I knew you'd still be alive. Aaliyah recognized him. Commander Tyler Drake, her former handler, the man who had given her the orders she refused. You should have stayed dead, Ghost. Now I have to kill you personally. Their fight was different, personal. 2 predators who knew each other's every move. Drake was good, maybe the best Aaliyah had ever faced. But Aaliyah had something he didn't, nothing left to lose. She took hits she shouldn't take, pushed through pain, found the opening she needed. A strike to the throat, a knee to the liver, a final elbow that ended it. 46 down. Inside the office, the sounds of combat had faded. Tension was unbearable. Sang-min paced. The lieutenants whispered among themselves. Haijin stood beside her brother, hand on his shoulder. Ji-woo, there's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you years ago. Before she could speak, the door exploded inward. Through the smoke came 4 figures, the final wave, the insurance policy. They weren't here to kill Ji-woo. They were here to ensure no witnesses. The lead operative spoke into his comms. Primary target located. Eliminating witnesses. Sang-min fired wildly, missed everything. The lead operative put a round through his shoulder without even looking at him. Everyone on the floor? The lieutenants complied. Sang-min writhed in pain. Haijin remained standing, positioned herself between the gunmen and her brother. Stand down, Captain. This operation is no longer sanctioned. The lead operative paused. Agent Song, we have orders. Your orders are obsolete. Phantom deployment on Korean soil without NIS authorization violates 17 international agreements. Stand down, Ji-woo's world shattered. Haijin, what is this? What are you? Before she could answer, the lights went out, total darkness. Then a voice from the shadows. Calm, cold. They can't hear you, Captain. None of them can. A lighter flicked on. Aaliyah's face illuminated from below, blood on her tactical gear. None of it hers. It's over. 50 down, inside the office, 55 total. Neutralized. Haijin, real name Agent Song Mi-young, had been Korean NIS since before their father died. Recruited in university. Her assignment, monitor the family's criminal connections. When Ji-woo started building his empire, her mission evolved. Guide him toward legitimate business, away from activities that threaten national security. I was never trying to destroy you, Ji-woo. I was trying to save you from yourself. Her voice was raw with emotion. Every time I pushed you toward legal investments, every time I argued against expansion into dangerous territories, that was me protecting you. You've been lying to me for 20 years. I've been protecting you for 20 years. The lies were the price. The real traitor was Lieutenant Choi, head of intelligence. He had been turned by Phantom years ago. Promised power, money, a new identity. He provided the compound layouts, the schedules, the security gaps. He was already in custody. Aaliyah had identified and neutralized him during the chaos. Phantom wanted Ji-woo dead to prevent his ledger from reaching Interpol. Multiple governments had dirty hands. Exposing the ledger didn't just bring down criminals. It brought down politicians, intelligence officers, military leaders. Song Mi-young's NIS faction wanted Ji-woo alive, rehabilitated, cooperative. His information was valuable. His death served no one except those with something to hide. Commander Drake regained consciousness. Aaliyah's chokehold hadn't been fatal, just incapacitating. He was brought before Ji-woo and Aaliyah, zip-tied, beaten, but defiant. You think this changes anything, Ghost -1? Phantom is everywhere. We're in every government, every intelligence agency. Kill me and 10 more take my place. I'm not going to kill you, Aaliyah said quietly. I'm going to do something worse. What? I'm going to expose you, every black site, every illegal operation, every innocent person you've murdered. Your ledger is going to burn right alongside Mr. Kang's. Drake's confidence faltered. You can't. That information is classified, buried, protected by people who think they're untouchable. Aaliyah leaned close. I helped bury it. I know where all the graves are, and I'm done keeping secrets for monsters. 55 assassins captured, 0 fatalities. The night was over. Dawn broke over Seoul. The compound was a battlefield. Broken windows, bullet holes, unconscious bodies being collected by a discreet NIS cleanup team. Ji-woo sat in his destroyed office, staring at the sister he thought he knew. How do I trust anything now? You don't trust, you verify. Song Mi-young took a breath. I've arranged terms with my superiors. Your legitimate businesses continue. Your ledger goes to Interpol, with redactions that protect Korean national security. No prosecution for past crimes in exchange for full cooperation. And if I refuse, then I've spent 20 years protecting a brother who doesn't want to be saved. He looked at her for a long moment. This stranger wearing his sister's face. You really believe this is the right path? I believe it's the only path that doesn't end with both of us dead. Ji-woo finally nodded. Not forgiveness, not trust, but acceptance that survival sometimes required walking with uncertain allies. Aaliyah stood on the rooftop, watching sunrise paint Seoul in golden light. Ji-woo found her there. 2 glasses, bottle of expensive whiskey. Celebrating, commemorating. The night I realized running doesn't work forever. She accepted the glass. Actually drank this time. What now, for you? Drake was right about one thing. Phantom is everywhere. And now they know I'm still alive. Still dangerous. So you run again? No, I'm done running. She looked at him, something new in her eyes, not just emptiness but purpose. You have resources, connections, information. I have skills and a very long list of people who need to answer for what they've done. You're proposing we hunt the hunters. I'm proposing we burn their entire operation to the ground. Every black site, every handler, every politician who signed off on murder while pretending their hands were clean. Ji-woo considered this woman who had saved his life. This weapon looking for a worthy target. That sounds like a war. Aaliyah's smile was razor-thin. It's always been a war. We just stopped pretending we're not soldiers. The sun rose over Seoul. A criminal empire stood at the edge of transformation. An intelligence agency scrambled to contain the fallout. And 2 broken people, forged in different fires but tempered by the same pain, began to imagine a future that was more than just survival. 55 assassins neutralized. 1 night. 1 woman, but this was only the beginning. Commander Drake, now in Korean custody, would face international tribunals. His testimony would expose phantom operations across 14 countries. Dozens of black sites would be shuttered. Hundreds of illegal operatives would be brought to justice. Lieutenant Choi, the real traitor, provided detailed intelligence about phantom recruitment methods, their safe houses, their funding sources. His cooperation bought him a reduced sentence and witness protection. Sang-min recovered from his shoulder wound with a new respect for the woman he had underestimated. His gambling debts were paid, his loyalty secured through gratitude rather than fear. The remaining lieutenants, cleared of suspicion, formed the backbone of Ji-woo's transition to legitimate business. Their skills in enforcement, intelligence, and logistics proved equally valuable in legal enterprises. Dr. Yoon, the personal physician, documented every injury from the night's battle. 55 professional killers, all alive, all receiving medical treatment, a testament to Aaliyah's precision and control. Agent Song Mi-young, no longer hiding behind the identity of Kang Ji-woo, worked to rebuild the relationship with her brother. Trust would take time. Understanding came faster. She had sacrificed her own identity to protect his life. That counted for something. The Shadow Phoenix Syndicate evolved into Kang Global Industries, a legitimate multinational corporation. Shipping routes became supply chains. Nightclub networks became entertainment venues. Cryptocurrency exchanges operated within legal frameworks. The transition wasn't without challenges, but it was possible. Aaliyah Cross found something she hadn't expected, a partner who understood the weight of necessary violence, a purpose beyond mere survival, a chance to use her skills for something larger than herself. Together, they began planning their next move. Phantom had cells in 16 countries. Each one would fall. Each handler would face justice. Each black site would be exposed. The war against the shadows had begun. And this time, the shadows would lose. 3 weeks after the blood moon, Aaliyah and Ji-woo sat in a private conference room in Kang Global's new headquarters. Gone were the fortified walls and armed guards. This was a legitimate corporate office, though the security was no less sophisticated. Spread across the table were files, dozens of them, each one detailing a phantom operation. This one in Manila, Ji-woo pointed. Human trafficking under the guise of diplomatic immunity. They're using an embassy as a front. I know, Aaliyah's jaw tightened. I helped set it up 5 years ago, before I knew what it really was. Can we take it down without innocent casualties? We can, but we need leverage on the ambassador. He's ex-CIA, now working private sector. Thinks he's untouchable. Ji-woo pulled up a file on his tablet. His daughter, Princeton student, clean record, doesn't know what her father really does. We don't involve civilians, Aaliyah said sharply. We don't have to. We just need him to think we might. Ji-woo looked at her. I'm not suggesting we hurt her. Just make him understand that his immunity ends where his family's safety begins. Aaliyah studied him. This was the line, wasn't it? The place where righteous revenge could become something darker. No threats against the daughter, but we can expose his finances. Swiss accounts. Cayman holdings. Money trail that leads back to the trafficking operation. She tapped another file. Better yet, we feed evidence to his ex-wife. She's a federal prosecutor in Virginia. She'll bury him legally. Ji-woo smiled. I like the way you think. Over the next month, they dismantled 3 phantom operations. The Manila Embassy trafficking ring, a weapons smuggling network in Thailand, a money laundering scheme in Singapore. Each operation fell not through violence, but through information. Evidence delivered to the right people. Carefully orchestrated leaks to international media. Legal pressure applied through legitimate channels. Phantom began to realize they were under attack. But by who? Their enemy was a ghost. Someone who knew their systems. Someone who had been inside. Commander Drake, in his South Korean prison cell, received a visitor. Aaliyah walked in alone, without guards, without weapons. Hello, Commander. Drake looked up. Prison had aged him, or maybe it was the weight of his crimes finally catching up. Ghost Minus One, come to gloat? No. Come to offer a deal. He laughed bitterly. What could you possibly offer me? Redemption, or at least a chance at it. She sat across from him. You know Phantom's structure better than anyone. Help us take them down completely, and I'll testify at your trial. Tell them about the impossible situations you were put in. The orders that came from above. Won't erase your crimes, but it might mean life in prison instead of execution. Why would you do that? Because I'm trying to be better than what they made us. Because revenge isn't justice. And because I need your knowledge if we're going to stop them from creating more weapons like us. Drake studied her for a long moment. What do you need to know? If you believe in second chances and redemption, even for those who have done terrible things, hit that subscribe button on Afro-K Dark Diaries TV right now. Comment where you're watching from. Let's build this community together. The information Drake provided was devastating. Names, locations, protocols, he held nothing back. Phantom wasn't just a rogue intelligence operation. It was a network that spanned multiple governments. A shadow organization that had operated with impunity for decades, but they had a weakness. A central database. One location where all their operations were coordinated. A server farm in Iceland, hidden beneath a geothermal power plant. Take out that database, Drake said, and you decapitate the entire organization. Without coordination, the cells can't communicate. Without the blackmail files, their politicians can't be controlled. Without the operational data, they're just criminals with no cover. And security? Ji-woo asked. Military-grade mercenaries, multiple redundancies, biometric access. It's designed to be impenetrable. Aaliyah smiled, not warmth but anticipation. I've breached impenetrable before. Planning the Iceland operation took 2 months. Every detail had to be perfect. This wasn't about fighting through waves of enemies. This was surgical, precise, in and out before Phantom even knew they were there. Song Mi-young provided NIS support, though officially, Korea had no involvement. Equipment, intelligence, extraction protocols, all handled through back channels. Ji-woo leveraged his business connections. Private planes, shell companies, financial resources that couldn't be traced back to either of them. Aaliyah trained. Not that she needed to, but old habits, muscle memory, making sure her body remembered what her mind had never forgot. The night before they left for Iceland, Ji-woo found her in the training room. 3 a.m. she was going through combat sequences, fighting invisible enemies. Can't sleep? He asked. Don't want to. She didn't stop moving. Dreams are too loud tonight. He understood. After everything they'd planned, everything that could go wrong, the nightmares would be waiting. Do you ever wonder, he said quietly, if we're making things better or just spreading our damage wider? Aaliyah finally stopped. Looked at him. Every single day. But then I think about the people Phantom is still hurting, the operations they're still running, and I decide that maybe our damage is worth it if it stops theirs. That's a dangerous philosophy. It's the only one I've got. They stood in silence for a moment. Aaliyah, Ji-woo said, first time he'd used her first name, if something goes wrong in Iceland, it won't. But if it does, I want you to know that hiring you was the best decision I've ever made. You saved my life. You gave me a purpose beyond survival. Whatever happens, that matters. She met his eyes. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Recognition. 2 broken people who had found something worth fighting for. If something goes wrong, she said, you get out. You use that legitimate empire we built. You live a good life. You don't come after me. I can't promise that. Then promise me you'll try. That I can do. The server farm in Iceland was exactly as Drake described, hidden beneath layers of security, protected by mercenaries who took their jobs seriously. But Aaliyah Cross had written the book on infiltration. And Ji-woo, Kang had the resources to make the impossible merely difficult. They went in through the geothermal plant. Maintenance access. Papers forged so perfectly they'd pass any inspection. Credentials that checked out in every database. 2 engineers doing routine inspection. Nothing suspicious. Nothing worth a second look, until they weren't. The transition from engineers to infiltrators happened in a maintenance corridor. Security camera disabled. Guards on their rotation. 60 seconds of perfect opportunity. Aaliyah moved first. 2 guards at the checkpoint. She approached with a clipboard, speaking in flawless Icelandic about pressure readings and valve maintenance. Technical jargon that sounded authentic because it was. The first guard never saw it coming. Pressure point strike behind the ear. Unconscious in 3 seconds. The second reached for his radio. Ji-woo, despite all his wealth and power, had trained for this moment. A solid strike to the solar plexus. The guard crumpled. Not bad for a CEO, Aaliyah whispered, zip-tying them both. I had a good teacher. They descended 3 levels, each one more secure than the last. Biometric scanners that Aaliyah bypassed with cloned credentials, Drake's final gift. Pressure plates that Ji-woo carefully navigated using a thermal scanner that revealed the safe paths. The server room was massive, row after row of machines, the entire operational backbone of Phantom's global network. Decades of crimes stored in cold, impersonal data. How long? Ji-woo asked, standing guard at the door. 8 minutes to plant the worm, 3 minutes for it to replicate through the system. Then boom, everything corrupts and broadcasts to every news agency, law enforcement database, and government watchdog on the planet. Aaliyah's fingers flew across the keyboard. This was her element. Not the violence, but this. The precision, the perfect execution of a complex plan. 5 minutes in, alarms started blaring. "They know we're here," Ji-woo said, weapon drawn. "Need 3 more minutes." "You'll get them." The door exploded inward. Not blown by explosives, but forced by sheer strength. Through the smoke came someone Aaliyah recognized, someone she thought was dead. "Wraith!" Her hand stopped moving on the keyboard. The woman stepped into the light. Built like a tank, covered in scars, eyes that had seen things even Aaliyah's nightmares couldn't imagine. "Ghost Menace one. They said you went rogue. Looks like they were right." Wraith had been Phantom's enforcer, the person they sent when even their elite operators failed. She and Aaliyah had trained together, fought together, nearly died together in Yemen. "I'm finishing the upload," Aaliyah said quietly. "You can either let me or try to stop me. But Sarah, using her real name, you know what's on these servers, you know what they've done, what they made us do." Wraith's weapon stayed trained on Aaliyah. "I follow orders." We all did. Until the orders became evil. Aaliyah stood slowly, hands visible. "They have files on you, Sarah. Everything you've done, everyone you've killed. They'll burn you the second you're no longer useful. This isn't loyalty. It's slavery." 2 minutes, Ji-woo warned, watching the progress bar. Wraith's weapon wavered, just slightly. "What happens if I let you finish?" Phantom ends, every operation exposed, every handler arrested. Every agent given a choice: turn themselves in and testify, or spend the rest of their lives running from international warrants. And us, people like us, we get to decide who we are after Phantom. Maybe we spend time in prison. Maybe we find redemption, but at least we're not weapons anymore. Wraith's weapon lowered, fractionally. "You always were the one with hope, Ghost, even when they tried to beat it out of you." "Upload complete," Ji-woo said. "Broadcasting now." The servers began to hum differently. Data streaming outward. 50 terabytes of classified information hitting the internet, news networks, law enforcement databases simultaneously. Operations in 16 countries. Names of 200 handlers. Financial records of bribes paid to politicians across 4 continents. Locations of 12 active black sites. Evidence of crimes that would take international courts years to prosecute. Phantom was finished. "We need to go," Aaliyah said. "Now," Wraith stepped aside. "I didn't see you. You were never here." "Thank you, Sarah. Don't thank me. Just make sure this meant something. Make sure their victims get justice." "I will." As they ran, Ji-woo glanced at Aaliyah. "Who was that?" "My past, letting me have a future." The extraction went smooth. Private plane waiting at a remote airstrip. Gone before Phantom's remaining forces could organize a response. By the time they landed in Seoul 14 hours later, the world had changed. News networks were running non-stop coverage. Massive intelligence scandal. Shadow organization exposed. International manhunt underway. Politicians were resigning. Intelligence directors were being arrested. Military officers were disappearing into witness protection. The shadow war was becoming a public reckoning. Song Mi-young met them at a safe house. Her face was exhausted but satisfied. "You did it. You actually did it. NIS is scrambling. CIA is in damage control. MI6 lost 3 section chiefs overnight. Phantom is collapsing." "Is it over?" Ji-woo asked. "The organization? Yes. The people who made it possible, that will take years. But yes, Ji-woo. The worst of it is over." Aaliyah sank into a chair. For the first time in 3 years, she felt something she'd forgotten existed. Relief. 6 months later, the world looked different. Kang Global Industries had become a model for corporate responsibility. Ji-woo had donated millions to organizations fighting human trafficking. His past wasn't erased, but he was building something better on its ruins. Song Mi-young had been promoted within NIS, not despite her family connection, but because of her decades of service protecting Korean interests while maintaining her humanity. Commander Drake testified at multiple trials. His cooperation led to 47 convictions. He would spend life in prison, but he spent it knowing he'd helped dismantle what he'd once protected. Wraith, Sarah Chen, turned herself in to authorities in Singapore. Her testimony about Phantom's operations in Southeast Asia led to the rescue of over 200 trafficking victims. She was serving 12 years, but she was alive. And for the first time in her adult life, she was free. Aaliyah Cross stood on the roof of Kang Global's headquarters, watching Seoul's sunset. The city looked different now, less like a hiding place and more like a home. "Thought I'd find you here," Ji-woo said, joining her with 2 cups of coffee. She accepted one. "Old habits. High places make me feel like I can see threats coming. Are there any left to see? There are always threats, but they're different now. Legal battles instead of assassins. Corporate espionage instead of hit squads." She smiled. "Almost boring." "Almost? I could use boring for a while." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights flicker on one by one. "I got a call today," Ji-woo said, "from the International Justice Foundation. They want us to consult on dismantling trafficking networks in Eastern Europe. Legitimate work. Good pay. Chance to help people. Us. You didn't think I'd let you do this alone, did you? We make a good team." Aaliyah considered it. After everything they'd been through, everything they'd survived, the idea of continuing to fight, but on the right side this time, appealed to her. "No more killing," she said. "I'm done with that." "Agreed. We use information now, evidence, law. We're not soldiers anymore." "What are we?" Ji-woo thought about it. "People trying to be better than we were. I can live with that." They touched coffee cups together, a toast to survival, to redemption, to the long, difficult work of becoming something other than what they'd been made to be. Below them, Seoul hummed with life. Millions of people going about their evening, unaware that 2 of the most dangerous people in Asia stood above them, keeping watch, not as predators anymore. As guardians, the road ahead would be long. There would be setbacks, there would be moments of doubt, there would be days when the nightmares came back strong, but they would face them together. 2 broken people who had found purpose in protecting others. 2 weapons who had chosen to become shields instead. 1 year after the blood moon, Song Mi-young organized a small ceremony. Private, unpublicized. The families of trafficking victims that Phantom had exploited were invited. Over 300 people came. Mothers, fathers, children who had been rescued because of the database exposure. They didn't know exactly who to thank. The operation had been classified, but they knew someone had fought for them. Someone had cared enough to risk everything. Aaliyah watched from a distance. Ji-woo stood beside her. "Do you think they know?" he asked. "It doesn't matter. The work is what matters. The lives saved are what matters." A young girl, maybe 8 years old, approached them. She held a drawing, a crude but heartfelt picture of a guardian angel protecting children. "My teacher said someone brave helped save people like my sister," she said in Korean. "Are you brave?" Aaliyah knelt down to the girl's level. "Your sister is the brave one, surviving, moving forward. That's real bravery." "But you helped, right? You were one of the brave ones," Ji-woo smiled. "We just did what anyone should do. We tried to help." The girl nodded seriously, then handed Aaliyah the drawing. "This is for you, for being brave." After she left, Aaliyah stared at the simple drawing. A protector. Not a weapon, not a killer, just someone trying to keep others safe. She carefully folded it and put it in her jacket pocket. "You okay?" Ji-woo asked. "Yeah," she said, surprised to find it was true. "For the first time in a long time, I think I actually am." If this story moved you, if you believe people can change and find redemption even after doing terrible things, please hit that subscribe button on Afro-K Dark Diaries TV right now. Comment where you're watching from and share your thoughts on second chances. And if you want to see more stories about people fighting their demons and coming out the other side, make sure you turn on notifications. Because this is what we do here. We tell stories about the strength it takes to change, the courage it takes to face your past, and the hope it takes to build a better future. The city of Seoul stretched out below them. Somewhere in those streets, someone was making a choice. To be better, to fight back, to protect instead of harm. And maybe, just maybe, they'd find their own path to redemption. Just like a criminal empire boss and a disgraced black ops soldier had. The war against the shadows had been won. Now came the harder part, living with the peace they'd fought for. But they were ready. Together, they were ready for whatever came next. 2 years after the blood moon, the International Justice Foundation, headquarters in Geneva, buzzed with activity. Analysts, investigators, legal experts, all working to dismantle trafficking networks across the globe. In a conference room on the 7th floor, Aaliyah Cross presented findings to a room full of international law enforcement officials. No longer hiding in shadows. No longer pretending to be something she wasn't. She was herself. Scars and all. The network in Moldova has 17 nodes, she explained, pointing to a digital map. We can't take them all down at once, but if we target these 3, she highlighted key locations, the entire structure collapses. Legal warrants are already prepared. Local authorities are ready to move on your signal. An Interpol agent raised his hand. How confident are you in this intelligence? Completely. I helped build these networks once. I know how they think, how they operate, how they hide. She paused, and I know how to destroy them. After the presentation, Ji-woo waited in the hallway. He wore a suit now instead of tactical gear, looked like any other businessman. But Aaliyah knew better, knew the strength that lived beneath the surface. How'd it go? He asked. They're moving on Moldova next week. If it works, we've saved over 100 people. And if it doesn't, then we try again. That's the job now. We keep trying until we win. They walked together through Geneva's streets. The city was beautiful in autumn. Leaves turning gold and red, the air crisp and clean. Do you miss it? Ji-woo asked. The adrenaline. The combat? Sometimes, Aaliyah admitted. Then I remember what that life cost, what it turned me into, and I'm grateful for boring. Ji-woo laughed. Never thought I'd hear you call intelligence work boring. Compared to fighting 55 assassins in one night. This is retirement. They stopped at a cafe, ordered coffee, sat outside watching people pass by, normal people, living normal lives, the kind of lives they'd once protected from the shadows. Sarah Wraith sent a letter, Aaliyah said, pulling out an envelope. From prison, she's teaching other inmates, helping them learn skills for when they get out. Said it's the first time she's felt useful in a way that doesn't involve hurting people. That's good. She deserves a chance at something better. We all do. Aaliyah's phone buzzed, a text from Song Mi-young. New lead on Phantom Remnants in Prague. Interested? She showed Ji-woo. He raised an eyebrow. So much for retirement. The work is never done, but that's okay, as long as we're doing it right this time. Then I guess we're going to Prague. I guess we are. They finished their coffee, paid the bill, started walking back toward their hotel. Behind them, Geneva continued its peaceful existence. Ahead of them, Prague and another battle against the shadows. But they were ready. They would always be ready. Because some people are forged in darkness. And they can choose to stay there, or they can choose to become the light that drives it away. Aaliyah Cross and Kang Ji-woo had made their choice. And they would spend the rest of their lives proving that redemption wasn't just possible, it was worth fighting for. The end. Thank you for watching this journey on Afro-K Dark Diaries TV. If this story touched you, if it made you think about second chances and redemption, please share it. Comment your thoughts. Let's build a community that believes people can change. Until next time, remember, your past doesn't define you. Your choices do. Stay strong out there.